The entire campus had become unnaturally quiet. Not silent, but aware. Students gathered near windows. Hallways filled with whispers. Phones already coming out discreetly. Because outside the engineering building, one of the most influential businessmen in the city stood calmly beside Aaryan Virel. And somehow, that felt impossible. Especially for students who remembered the quiet orphan, the hotel worker, the guy who barely spoke during first year. Now, even the university dean looked nervous around the people speaking to him. Interesting. Outside, Aaryan Valecrest observed Aaryan calmly. Measured. Experienced. Unlike most wealthy people, his gaze held intelligence rather than arrogance. Which meant Aaryan needed to be careful. Smart people notice too much. You seem calmer than most adults around me, Aaryan said lightly. Aaryan answered evenly. Panicking rarely improves situations. Lucian smiled faintly beside them, clearly entertained again. Meanwhile, the dean laughed awkwardly like he had no idea whether he was allowed to breathe normally. Adrian's eyes sharpened slightly with interest. Interesting answer. Not rehearsed. Not submissive. Not overly confident. Balanced. That alone separated Aaryan from most university students immediately. Then Aaryan glanced briefly toward the engineering building windows, where dozens of students were obviously pretending not to stare, including Elena. A faint smile appeared on his face. My daughter has excellent judgment. Several nearby students almost choked hearing that. Meanwhile, inside the building, Elena covered part of her face with one hand. Mom is definitely behind this, because there was absolutely no way her father casually visited campuses like this without purpose. Especially not personally, and definitely not with Lucian Ashvale nearby. Though Elena obviously didn't know who Lucian truly was. Only that something about him felt strangely intimidating. Outside, Lucian observed the campus quietly for a moment. Then his gaze shifted subtly toward Aaryan again. Interesting. Very interesting. Because the boy adapted everywhere. Supernatural society, financial systems, academic environments, social dynamics. Too quickly. Far too quickly. It reminded Lucian of someone he preferred not remembering. Dangerous. Aaryan broke the silence again. Elena mentioned your project work recently. Aaryan glanced at him calmly. That sounds troublesome. Aaryan laughed quietly. A genuine laugh. The dean looked even more confused now. Because watching Aaryan Valecrest casually enjoy a conversation with a student was surreal enough already. Then Aaryan added, she rarely praises people. That sentence mattered more than expected. Because Aaryan already understood Elena well enough to know it was true. She was warm, kind, but selective emotionally. Which meant if she trusted someone, it was genuine. Interesting. Then Adrian's gaze shifted slightly toward Aaryan's eyes. More focused now. And yet she speaks about you often. Silence. Aaryan understood immediately. This was evaluation, not interrogation. A father measuring someone important to his daughter. Normally that situation would annoy him. Strangely, didn't. Because Adrian's concern felt sincere rather than controlling. Aaryan answered honestly. Elena is important to me too. The surrounding air became quieter instantly. Several nearby students openly stared now. Because Aaryan, who ignored almost everyone, who never showed visible emotional attachment, had just admitted something directly. Meanwhile, inside the building, Elena froze completely after hearing it. Her heartbeat sped up immediately, because unlike normal flirting, Aaryan never said unnecessary things, which made simple honesty far more dangerous coming from him. Lucian observed everything silently, amused, very amusing. The future anomaly who might one day shake the hidden world. Standing outside a university talking about a girl. Humanity truly was fascinating. Then suddenly, Lucian's expression shifted slightly. Aaryan noticed immediately. Something changed. Blood sense activated. Several unfamiliar signatures had appeared near campus boundaries. Strong. Hostile. Hidden. Aaryan's eyes darkened slightly. Lucian noticed that reaction too. Interesting. He sensed them already. Then one of the Ashvale members approached quickly from behind, lowering his voice respectfully. "Sir." Lucian listened briefly, then sighed softly, almost disappointed. "How irritating." Adrian frowned slightly. "What happened?" Lucian's calm smile returned instantly, perfectly composed. "Nothing that concerns normal society," which was technically true. Then Lucian looked toward Aaryan again. "Unfortunately, our conversation ends here." But just before turning away, his crimson eyes sharpened subtly. "There are things moving beneath this city recently." A pause. "Be careful walking alone at night." Not advice. A warning. Then the Ashvale members began moving immediately. Fast. Efficient. Predators responding to something dangerous. Interesting. Very interesting. Aaryan watched the black vehicles leave campus slowly, thinking, because if something could irritate Lucian Ashvale, it was not small. Meanwhile, Adrian remained beside him quietly, watching the departing convoy. Then finally, he spoke again. "You attract unusual people, Aaryan." Aaryan answered calmly. "I've noticed." Adrian laughed softly under his breath, then unexpectedly extended a business card toward him. Minimalistic, elegant, silver lettering. "Come visit sometime." A pause. "Elena would probably be happy." And just like that, the rumors across campus exploded beyond repair. By lunchtime, the entire university already knew, or at least thought they knew. Rumors spread through campus like wildfire. Elena's father personally met Aaryan. Powerful executives arrived for him. The dean treated him differently, and Aaryan Valecrest handed him a private business card before leaving. To normal students, that scene looked unreal, especially because Aaryan still looked the same, calm, quiet, emotionally distant, carrying his own backpack like nothing happened, which somehow made everything more absurd. Hallway. The moment Aaryan stepped inside the engineering building again, conversations lowered instantly. People stared openly now. No longer subtle. Aaryan ignored all of it naturally. Until, "You're seriously terrifying." Elena stood near the classroom entrance with folded arms, trying to look calm. Failing slightly, Aaryan stopped beside her. "That seems dramatic. My father personally came to campus for you. Technically, he came with Lucian. That does not help your case." A faint smile almost appeared on Aaryan's lips. Almost. Elena stared at him suspiciously. "You're enjoying this?" "A little." That answer alone nearly short-circuited her brain. Because Aaryan rarely joked intentionally. Dangerous. Very dangerous. Then suddenly, a group of girls passed nearby. One whispered loudly enough to hear, "He looks even better smiling." Another immediately responded, "And he only smiles around Elena. I'd actually cry." Elena immediately looked away, ears faintly red again. Meanwhile, Aaryan remained completely calm externally. Though internally, he noticed something interesting. He genuinely didn't care about anyone else's attention. Not because he was pretending to be loyal. Not because he was trying to be good. He simply wasn't interested. And somehow, that realization felt unexpectedly clear. His focus naturally returned to Elena every time. Without effort. Without calculation. Dangerous. Project room. The atmosphere during project work had changed dramatically. Students who previously ignored Aaryan now watched him constantly. Some admiring. Some jealous. Some cautious. Especially after today's events. Rohan sat across the room silently, expression darker than usual, because from his perspective, Aaryan had taken everything unnaturally fast. Academic recognition, popularity, influence, Elena's attention, and worst of all, he made it look effortless. Meanwhile, Aaryan reviewed project schematics beside Elena calmly. "You're distracted." Elena blinked. "Whose fault is that?" "Probably yours." She stared at him for a second, then quietly laughed despite herself. Again, warm, natural, and unfortunately, Aaryan was beginning to enjoy making her laugh intentionally now. That was definitely becoming a problem. Evening, campus rooftop. Cold wind moved softly across the rooftop. The city glowed beyond the university skyline. Aaryan stood alone near the edge, looking down at the streets below, thinking about Lucien's warning, Celine's appearance, hostile signatures near campus, hidden movements beneath the city. Things were accelerating, fast, and somewhere underneath all of it, the system remained unusually active tonight. Blood sense heightened. Interesting. Something nearby was unstable. Then, the rooftop door opened quietly behind him. Elena stepped outside holding 2 cans of coffee. I guessed you'd be here. Aaryan accepted one calmly. You're getting good at finding me. Elena walked beside him near the railing. You disappear a lot lately. Silence. Then she added softly, and every time you come back, it feels like you're farther away. The words settled heavier than expected. Because she was right. Aaryan was changing. Rapidly. Not just physically. Mentally. Emotionally. Some days he already felt disconnected from ordinary people. Like he was slowly stepping outside normal humanity. Dangerous. Elena looked toward the city lights quietly. I don't understand what's happening around you. A pause. But I know something is. Aaryan stayed silent for several moments, thinking carefully. Then finally, are you afraid of me? Elena turned toward him immediately, surprised. What? Aaryan met her gaze calmly. You should be. Not threatening. Not dramatic. Just honest. The rooftop became quiet except for distant city noise below. Elena studied him carefully, longer than usual. Then, unexpectedly, she stepped closer. Close enough that Aaryan could hear her heartbeat clearly now. Warm, steady, human, and instead of fear, she smiled softly. You know what I think is scary? Aaryan said nothing. Elena looked directly into his eyes. I think what's scary, her voice became gentler, is how lonely you look sometimes. Silence. Complete silence. Because that sentence hit somewhere unexpectedly deep. Aaryan had faced monsters, ancient bloodlines, killing intent, overwhelming power. None of it unsettled him. But this? Dangerous. Very dangerous. Because Elena kept seeing parts of him he never intended to show anyone. And somehow, he was starting to let her.